What's going on, you guys? Today I got a cool video to show y'all because we're gonna be doing a walkthrough of an investment property that was just purchased by my cousin. And so we're gonna walk through the property to see exactly what an investor looks for and to see if this property right here checks all those boxes. So let's go ahead and check it out. Right off the bat, I can see the rocks and the turf, which I think are always a really good idea because it's low maintenance and tenants don't have to worry about mowing the lawn or anything like that. So I think that's really great. I also notice the brick and the siding. Okay, so here I'm closer to the brick and I'm looking around and I really don't see any mortar decay. All the joints look really good and filled out, so that's really good. Here at the bottom though, you can see that there are gaps, and it's only here at the bottom where you don't see any mortar. You see a gap there, and then you jump over here and you see a gap right there. And you're gonna see these gaps actually all around the house, and that's because those are called weep holes, and weep holes allow the house to breathe from under. So those are actually done on purpose. That's not something where you have to worry about putting mortar in there. Those are actually done on purpose. Notice behind me right here, this garage door, a lot of the times you're gonna see dents in them, and I really appreciate and like when you don't see dents. You know, and for me, I actually wouldn't fix a garage door that has a dent in it unless I can kind of pop it out myself. But I really do appreciate when the garage door looks so clean like how this one does. All right, now let's go ahead and go to the other side and check out the siding. One thing I do want to note on the siding here up front is you get to have this real dirty siding over here, which will just be resolved with a quick power wash. But on this side over here, you have these cracks on the siding. That's because I think this is just plastic siding, but it's what a lot of these homes come with, and that's how they're built. But you know, when hail comes, and it breaks this stuff pretty easily, so you can see a crack there, and then I think there's a hole on here and a couple other holes on the siding, which I don't think is actually a big deal, but eventually, you know, it's gonna start to look pretty bad. And if more hail comes, then it just weakens this whole side of the siding here. But I think for now, you're good. So it's no big deal. And now if you follow me out to the backyard, we got a few things to talk about here. So you've got here a dog run, and then you've also got a bald spot right here because there used to be a pool. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. But first, let's just go ahead and talk about this dog run right here. This dog run, I mean, I think it's built pretty sturdy. They're very common over here, at least in my neck of the woods. But the problem with dog runs is, yes, you get that upside for tenants maybe having a pet and keeping them here. But then, you know, you run into these issues right here with all along the fence, actually, where it's being chewed on right here and, you know, scratched up. And it's actually like every other picket on this fence that you can see this damage. And eventually that starts to wear it out. You can see right here, actually on this side, this one's basically almost worn out completely on this spot. And it's just such a shame because like the rest of the picket is actually really nice and in good condition. It's just that, you know, it comes with having the pets. All right, now let's talk about this bald spot that we have going on here. I think it's definitely a problem. It just doesn't look right to me. Obviously, we would need to put a weed barrier over it and then rocks again. It would cost money to go ahead and take care of this. To me, it just looks off. I don't think a tenant would necessarily care, but it's just something that, you know, you might want to keep in mind to do later on in the future. All right, now inside the property, we're gonna start with the kitchen first, and you obviously see this bad boy right here. So she got a fridge for 150 bucks, which I think is a really good deal. The tenant's gonna love that. But I would worry about, you know, putting in the lease contract whether or not you're gonna replace this fridge. If they break it or something happens, then they gotta worry about getting their own fridge in here. I don't know, that's just something that I would do because in Texas, it's actually not necessary for the landlord to provide the fridge. So that's just something to keep in mind, but that's awesome to, you know, have tenants that will start out having a fridge. That's awesome. All right, and then you obviously got the kitchen here. You got the countertops, which are granite countertops. Tenants are gonna love that. I think that this is definitely a good idea to have in this area because this property is in a good location with other houses that are a lot bigger than this one. This one's only about 1,100 square feet, but even though it's small, it has all of the upgrades that you would normally see in a bigger home. And that speaks volumes to a tenant. They love that. So even though it's small, it's nice. And so it's just a really good idea to have. Now let's go here into the water heater, because when the inspection report came back, they actually saw a lot of the insulation from the ceiling, the ducting insulation, falling down from a hole that's up here, or one of the vents, and coming right down into this water heater. So what they had to do was actually provide a screen for that vent to not allow this to continue happening. You could see that little screen that they kind of wrapped around with the zip tie. I guess that'll do it, but I worry that insulation might still fall in and then just kind of gather around that screen right there. So that might be something to make a note of as well. The water heater looks obviously new, so nothing to worry about there. They have the pan, which is also very important to have in case you have a leak or something like that. This will catch it and then it will drain through and outside the property. So very, very well done there. All right, now I want to talk about the living room space here, because again, I mean, it's a small living room. It's a 1,100 square foot home, but you've got your 2-inch forward blinds, right? Which are standard now. I mean, to me, should be standard. Anything less than that, if you got those metal blinds, change them out. They're low quality, right? And then you got a ceiling fan up here, very clean. You got to make sure those are clean. They can get very, very dusty. I know there's one of you watching that has a very, very dusty ceiling fan, so get that taken care of. That speaks volumes in terms of cleanliness to the tenant. And then obviously you've got carpet here, right? The only reservation I would have is to not have carpet here in the dining area that's going to the kitchen. But I mean, there's carpet there too, so I guess that's fine. But I would definitely have carpet in this living room, and then in the hallway and the bedrooms, not the bathrooms. In the bathrooms, I would either have tile or luxury vinyl plank, which in this bathroom, you actually have tile, and everything just looks really nice. Look, you can see my beautiful self right there. With these bathrooms, I mean, you just want to make sure that everything works and that everything is clean, okay? You don't need a lot of nice tiling right here for this shower. You just need it to be nice and neat and clean. Look at this. This is very simple. It doesn't even have storage at the bottom, which would actually be really nice, or a nice little cabinet right here to go above the toilet. But you know, if you don't need it, I mean, it's already coming like that and it looks nice and clean, then I would just leave it. You know what I mean? Now, if we go to the bedrooms, bedrooms are also fairly small, but look, you got your smoke detector, which landlords, you need to be on top of this. Smoke detectors in every room, okay? And you got your 2-inch forward blinds. All right, there's not much else to really talk about in bedrooms. That's all you got to worry about. Then you go to the master bathroom, and we do have a problem here. All right, here you do have a nice granite countertop vanity, right? You've got the lights, my beautiful self again. You have storage space here on this one. Everything's clean, but look at this, okay? Now, I don't know if the homeowners were just in a rush or we're actually having a pull-up contest with this thing or what, but we shouldn't be seeing that, right? Come on, guys, that sucks, right? But oh well, we'll get it taken care of from there, and that's all I have to show you guys on the property. Now let's go ahead and go back to the office and run the numbers. All right, so let's run the numbers. For rents, they're hoping to get $1,800 a month. Now, when you annualize that, you end up with $21,600 for a whole year. But obviously, there's expenses with that, right? So we got to discount all of the expenses subtracted from that total rental income. So for expenses, you obviously got your mortgage, which consists of your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And then after that, you want to set money aside for maintenance and vacancies. So let's go ahead and start with the mortgage. The mortgage payment is going to be $1,134 every month. And then for vacancies, you're going to want to set aside $100 a month just to be on the safe side. And then for maintenance costs, I went ahead and put $200 a month set aside because you never know what's gonna happen. Now, you can play with those numbers a little bit. Miriam, if you're watching this, that's just what I set aside to be conservative for this valuation. But obviously, here right now, you're not gonna have a lot of vacancies, and the maintenance, well, the property is, fairly newer, built in 2011. You're not gonna see a lot of things give out right now. But I went ahead and set that money aside on this valuation because later on in the future, you're gonna wanna make sure you have this pool of money to draw from when things start breaking, like the dishwasher or the water heater, or something got clogged up in the toilets or your roof. All of that put together, you're gonna have $1,434 for expenses. All right, so now you subtract that $1,434 from the initial $1,800 of rent that you're making every month, and you end up with $366. Now, when you annualize that, you end up with $4,392. But is that good or is that bad? Well, the way to really know whether or not this was a good investment and to ultimately run the numbers on this property is to divide that number by how much money you invested. Well, for context, she bought the property for $175,000. She put 20% down and then also had to pay for closing costs. All of that put together, her down payment and closing costs, was around $43,000. So when you divide those two figures, you end up with 0.1021 blah, 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 blah. That really turns out to a 10% cash on cash return, which I would say, bravo, Miriam, you did really good, cousin. I say that that's a really, really good return on your investment. Now, I obviously say that objectively, right? Because I think, especially in this market right now, what we're seeing, a 10% cash on cash return could be really hard to find. Now, I know that a lot of experienced investors really shoot for at least a 12% cash on cash return, if not higher. But especially for Miriam, being a beginner investor and this being her first property, couldn't do any better than that, I think. I mean, that's just really, really good. Good job. Now, the way that I was able to run these numbers was using the Foursquare method. And that's how I run the numbers on all of my properties. And I could probably put a picture of it up here, so that way you can reference that. Now, there's also a lot of rental property calculators out there that you can run your numbers on. And what I like to do is run the numbers on a certain calculator that I like, and I can post a link of that calculator down below. But I run the numbers on that, and then I run the numbers manually using the Foursquare method. And on both, I got a 10% cash on cash return for you. So that's really, really good. Again, good job. I'm proud of you. I hope you guys got something out of this also, because literally that walkthrough is what I look for in a rental property. So hopefully you guys can take that with y'all as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.